Welcome to our webinar today for Domino. And today we're going to cover the 8 reasons to upgrade Domino. You know, one of the things that's happened over the last 4 years is Domino has delivered increased security, reliability, and faster app dev efficiency. And we want to help our customers get the most from our platform. And so we today are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the value of upgrading, not only from the benefit of being on the most current release per se, but also how to get more from your Domino platform. And those are going to be the things that we're going to cover. So we're going to talk about not only, as I said, the value, but we're going to talk about what our customers have said and some of the case studies that our customers have provided us in terms of how they've used their Domino platform to improve their app dev efficiency. And that's what this is all about. So I want to introduce Mr. Thomas Hample, who for most of you probably already know Thomas. He has been on many a Domino webinar. He is one of our senior product managers, and welcome, Thomas, today.
Hello and greetings to everyone around the globe. Hello from Germany to everyone attending this webinar. And thanks, Dan, for inviting me to this webinar. I'm really looking forward to the content we're covering today.
Well, that's great. And you know, Thomas, I put at the top of this chart was your Domino tour guides, because today you and I are going to have a conversation with this crowd that's assembled here to hear more about Domino. And we really are your tour guides today. So we're going to enjoy sharing information with you, and we hope that you gain some insights from it and we can help you along your journey of digital transformation. So I want to start out by talking just for a moment, Thomas and I, about IT challenges. And this slide doesn't hold anything that you don't already understand. You know, the challenges today are really to accelerate innovation and accomplish this with less resources. And we know that you need the best app dev platform to consistently deliver security, compliance, and privacy with productivity. And I think that's what Domino is all about, Thomas. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, as you said, these IT challenges itself may not be new to the audience, but in specific, you may have come across one or the other item by talking to your peers, by talking to your CIO, or looking at your particular business. For instance, at least here in Europe, one of the current challenges being hiring, being an issue, because I mean, IT is just becoming more and more complex. Certainly, as an enterprise, you don't just run one product of software or one product your IT is based on. It became a lot more complex, a lot more diverse in the past decade or so. And that means not only does your existing staff need to have a much broader product set to be responsible for, but they also need to know the specifics. And that means you need probably a lot more people to manage the same thing. So wouldn't it be good to get more done with less, meaning having a product that can be of great help to reduce your total cost of ownership? I mean, all those we are going to talk about in more details on the next couple of slides, I guess, Dan.
That's correct. And for those of you that may not know this, since Domino version 10, we've delivered over 700 new features, eliminated over 2,000 bugs, and really modernized our platform. And so we really think that this is a huge opportunity for you to take advantage of that. And so what does this investment mean for you? And the Domino investment itself really is about increasing your return on investment by modernizing the user experience across a broad spectrum. And we're going to get into more of that as we go. We also want to help you mobilize applications, reduce threats. We want to make sure that you're running the latest and greatest so that you can have better OS integration and compatibility and compliance. And foremost, as Thomas mentioned a moment ago, and Thomas, you're an IT administrator, so reducing admin costs, that's probably been around for a long time from your perspective, right?
Yes, I'm old, if you want to say it that way. um, I had a
I've got you
previous
beat
life.
there, Thomas, I believe.
I had a previous life as an administrator, and certainly total cost of ownership has always been a thing. But for the most part, I mean, talking to customers, I see that those customers who properly manage their environment, properly keep them up to date, they are a very happy camper with Domino. It all matters on how well you treat your existing IT. I mean, Notes Domino started in 1989. That's quite some time ago. And I mean, of course, along those years, we upgraded our technology a number of times to make it current, to make it work with today's needs. In the same way, I think our colleague Uwe brought up this example. In the same year, the company Airbus brought a new airplane to market. It was the Airbus A320. So for those of you who have been on vacation in the last couple of weeks, you might have had a chance to fly away with one of those aircrafts. And I guess none of us would ever say that this aircraft is any dated, because it has been constantly updated with new aviation technology, with new security systems, certainly new audio video equipment on board and better seats, more silent, more fuel efficient engines. So all of that making it a very viable choice for your secure air travel. And in the same way, Domino has been modernized along those years. And with our recent features added to version 12 and upcoming version 14, it's even more of an interesting product to upgrade onto. I guess we're going to cover a couple of the technical talking points in a minute, so I'll calm down for a moment.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. You know, I'm glad you brought up Airbus, and I'll tell you why. Because we know that the pressure on IT organizations to allow their employees to access apps and information anywhere is critically important. And so that is something that we put a lot of effort into. And even if you heard about Nomad a few years ago, let's talk about some of the latest and greatest things that Nomad can do. And extending, of course, information to the browser is really important. So Thomas, from your perspective, because I know you've been a real crusader for Nomad for HCL, tell us a little bit about what you've seen customers do and what they feel the benefits are of Nomad.
Interesting, because when I talk to customers, a number of current customers I recently talked to haven't seen what Nomad is, never heard about it. So clearly we need to do a better job at communicating the benefits of Nomad Web. So when I talk to those customers, the best and easiest way to describe Nomad Web is to say, this is actually your Notes client just running in a web browser without any need to install any client-side software. Why is this a thing? Well, clearly, many customers believe in order to access Domino applications, you need to install the Notes client. The Notes client is a software that you need to install on every workstation in your enterprise. Yeah, sure, you can do that with your most favorite software deployment tooling, and I'm sure the large enterprises have automated that job. But at the end of the day, it is several installations you have to maintain and you have to keep current. You have to keep patching them. That's perfectly fine if you are running on the Notes client and it's keeping you happy. That's all good. But decision makers were looking for more freedom. Isn't there a better way of accessing Domino applications without needing to install the Notes client? And that is exactly what Nomad Web does. Nomad Web is an add-on software that's installed on top of the Domino server. It comes with your existing Domino CCB license. And like I said, all the end users need to do is to access your Domino server with a browser. No plugin that needs to be installed. You just access the application and you are ready to go. It serves your existing applications without any need to modify them. So it runs forms views, it runs Lotus script in your browser, and of course, formula language all across. You can also take your data offline in the browser. You heard that correctly. You can replicate into your browser and enjoy the benefits of the Notes client without having the Notes client installed. So if you haven't seen or haven't used Nomad Web before, it's really about time to give it a try.
That's really great news, and that really kind of segues into our second reason for upgrading Domino, and that's Nomad Mobile.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, I was reading just the other day that 70% of working adults use their mobile device to perform work-related activities, and certainly that's going to increase as we march forward. I don't, I think you and I were chatting earlier about the fact that when I get my usage information from my iPhone, I usually find that my work email is at the top of the list of things that I spend time on. And
yeah,
so it really goes without saying that that's really important. And there's over 27 billion devices connected to the internet today. And that's more than 3 devices for every single person on our planet. So obviously that's really important. And you mentioned Airbus earlier, but how many times would you get on a plane today and not expect to have Wi-Fi connectivity? So that's really important. So let's talk a little about Nomad Mobile, and let's talk a little about what that brings to the table, Thomas.
yeah, indeed. Onboard Wi-Fi was really something I did enjoy on my last flight last week, and it worked perfectly. So certainly one of the improvements the carrier did with their aircraft. Well, Nomad, in this case here, Nomad Mobile, is also the way to access your Domino applications from a smartphone or tablet, whether your choice is the Apple or the Google platform. Nomad is available in the App Store of both vendors. You can install it on your smartphone and then directly communicate with your Domino server. In the same way as I mentioned for Nomad Web, you can also replicate your Domino applications to your smartphone or your tablet. But the mobile platforms, they come along with a number of features that are available to the smartphone. And of course, we could leverage them in applications, such as the ability to get the GPS position of the device or take a photo, or for instance, requesting a user to input what's it called, a handwritten signature into an application. So not only can you access existing applications from Nomad Mobile, you can also enhance your existing apps with new capabilities. And I think of all those workflow applications where a customer has to confirm, I don't know, the delivery of a package, or has to take a picture and put it right into context of your application. Those are small enhancements you can do with existing Lotus script capabilities to build net new functionality into applications that were serving your business for the last decade or so. Really an interesting piece of software, especially because customers with a CCB license have Nomad Mobile also included in their license. So all you have to do is to download it from the App Store and configure it to run against your server.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's really important as more and more people work remotely, work from home or work on the go. I know that when I have a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment, I sit in the waiting room waiting to be seen, and usually I'm doing email. So, that
Yeah,
kind of goes with the territory today, doesn't it?
yeah. You said 70% of people doing business or doing work on their mobile devices.
Yeah.
I mean, when seeing people here amongst friends and amongst customers I'm dealing with, I think it's far more than 70% doing business on their phone. But yeah, probably that differs from geography to geography, but
Yeah.
clearly mobile devices are a thing to get your work done.
Now, one of the other key reasons that we want to dive into too is how do you accelerate innovation? Well, you can do that with Domino Leap, because Leap enables your business users to create apps and workflow automations without writing a single line of code, as we see on this slide. So when we talk about the challenges of IT with development resources, if you want to have significant and profound impact on your ability to create new apps and to create new automated workflows, Domino Leap is the way to go. And business users can build straightforward apps with ready-made components. They can do things like capture leads. They can do special customer offers. They can create contact forms. They can build business dashboards, just to name a few. And you can do that all under the administrative control of IT. And that's really important. So I think, Thomas, you've used Domino Leap as well, haven't you?
Oh, quite a bit. Not only here at HCL, building forms for surveys and building workflows for internal applications, but also to show customers on how quickly they can build applications. Now, I think we want to mention that Domino Leap is an add-on to Domino, so it's installed on top of Domino, and behind the scenes, it's creating Domino applications, but the front end is an entirely a browser front end. So even the builder, the UI, which you're using to create your form and to draw your workflow in a graphical UI, that's all browser-based. And that allows people who are not native developers to build applications quickly. Think of this as a really, really quick way to build ad hoc applications that serves your business, doing, like I said, quick surveys, or in situational apps that you need to have support for workflow decision making. For instance, one example that was brought up to me was in the recent pandemic that we probably all have noticed. Certain countries were establishing reporting mechanisms on reporting COVID test results and COVID cases amongst their districts and geographies. And that was definitely a net new application that they needed. So a European country built that as a Domino Leap application by quickly building the form, quickly building the workflow behind, and in a matter of just a few days, or if maybe even just a few hours, they were up and running with an application that would have otherwise required a lot of more time to be developed. Not only that, it's also almost self-explaining. One story I might want to share is that I thought, what would be a good test? So I thought I'm going to ask my son, who's 12 years old, to build a Domino Leap app. And without telling him the details of what Domino Leap is, he built his first Domino Leap app for his school and his classmates, just by using the UI, putting the fields together, adding some logic to it. So really, this is the right tool to build fast, quick applications on the basis of Domino, on your existing server, by the way. Really a cool tool. If you haven't seen that, it's about time to give it a test drive.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, in the current environments that we operate in today, improving agility to respond to business challenges by using a platform like Domino Leap to help you create and streamline collaboration and improve productivity, really, really important. And we have a Domino Leap showroom and sandbox, so you can test drive the software. It's something you should try out for sure. All right, so let's move on. Cloud native. My gosh, 10 years ago, Domino didn't support the cloud. But things have changed, and over the last few years, we have made a huge investment in making sure that we are cloud native and can help you have more deployment choices past on-prem, which a lot of you are still using. So from that standpoint, what are the key advantages, do you think, Thomas, from the standpoint of the cloud and also other containerization things that people might want to look at?
It's a larger infrastructure discussion at first, I think, because, I mean, Domino being in the market since a number of years, we all probably started with machines that were physically located in a data center or in the office building we were working at. But the time has moved on, and there was virtualization coming around, that at least allowing to run multiple Domino servers on the same piece of hardware. But today we have to admit that there are infrastructure decisions taken by our companies, by our decision makers, to probably move data centers from one place to another, going to one of the established cloud vendors, or maybe even completely giving up on infrastructure and clearly going into a true cloud native environment. Now, Domino supports all of those deployments. Whatever is your favorite choice, Domino can handle it. So a survey we did recently shows that customers currently are using and preferring virtualization technologies, but there is a trend of, like I said, decision makers to move into cloud native deployments where your application, your workload, so to say, runs as a container in a cloud infrastructure of your preferred provider. Domino officially supports that, and you can use it the way you want with your apps, your mail completely deployed into a cloud native environment. It is still a Domino server. It is just the technology underneath that differs, where on a physical machine, you have to pay for the entire infrastructure, or on a virtual machine where you have to manage the operating system, a container-based deployment in, for instance, Docker or Kubernetes allows to save that operating system cost of ownership. So you basically get the entire power of that container dedicated to Domino, and can run a number of containers and orchestrate them the way you want. It's an interesting field. Not all customers would like to go that route, but certainly if you want to be running Domino in a cloud native scenario, perfectly fine. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, the other thing that really kind of segues into going cloud native is upgrading. Upgrading has never been easier than it is today with Domino. And no other platform that has the richness of Domino can be upgraded as fast. And you know, it's funny because with Domino, you don't have to worry about backwards compatibility. You don't have to worry about disrupting your business for a long period of time. And with our Domino version 14, which is going to be released toward the end of the year, the upgrading process gets faster, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, there is a bit of information I might want to share with the audience. But as you are coming up with this wonderful picture saying upgrading is a snap, especially for cloud deployments and container deployments, upgrading from one version of Domino to the other is as simple as stopping a container and starting another container with the new version. I think it takes 10 seconds at most to upgrade from one version to another in a container-based deployment. In a virtual deployment on a virtual server, you would upgrade your server in place. So you could just take the new version, install it on top of the previous version, and literally that's all you have to do. Of course, there is more to talk about. There are details you might want to read into. We have a whole upgrade cookbook that's talking about this specific piece of information. But in essence, upgrading a server is really damn easy. It's many other software or many other platforms you might find in the market space require a side-by-side upgrade, meaning temporarily you need to install new hardware or new machines for the new version, and then you have to move data across. That's taking a lot of time, and it's causing costs that you can avoid by just doing an in-place upgrade in the way Domino does it. You asked or said version 14 is going to make that even easier. There was a webinar we did just a few days ago on the new features of the Domino version 14 early access program. And one of the features we were showing was the ability to get notified on the availability of new product versions. We would like to enhance that even further so that you can even install a new version with version 14. So to say, at some point in time in the future, it will be possible to just say, yep, I would like to accept that new version, and it will be deployed at your convenience, and you can lean back and just get more important stuff done. You don't have to run the upgrade yourself. That all reduces your total cost of ownership and certainly reduces the admin's headache when having to work overtime like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, Thomas, even though it is easier than ever, a lot of companies may not have the resources to deal with it, and they need help. So we've got a white glove service offering to help you plan and execute your upgrade, and we're more than happy to help you with that at HCL. And there's going to be a link to that at the end of the presentation. So if you're interested in talking to us about that, we'll make the opportunity available to you. Now that's fantastic. So let's move on to number 6, which is the harmonious experience, because what's really important for IT is that any platform easily and seamlessly integrates into your enterprise. And there's a lot of really cool things that Domino has done and supports that give us this. And Thomas, why don't you take us through a couple of the ones that you think are really important for us?
Yeah, I think nowadays we can assume that Domino is not the only IT system you're running. There are plenty of servers, plenty of systems that end users need to interface with. So one common thing that customers would like to have is, of course, single sign-on. And single sign-on is supported, well, I think since version 8.5, version 9, we started adding SAML support. So you can say that's a given to just authenticate with the same credentials, but it became even easier with version 11 and version 12 because we are now synchronizing users from, for instance, an Active Directory into the Domino directory, and thereby reducing the user management needs to a bare minimum. You can even synchronize passwords if you want to do so, or establish a single sign-on configuration so that your end users only have to remember the corporate password. Now, authentication being one piece of integration, and probably you've all seen that working, but in the case of applications integrating with one another, we need to say that a common standard these days is, meaning when two applications want to communicate with one another, the common standard used out there is REST APIs. And certainly Domino provides REST APIs inbound as well as outbound. So you can have your Domino applications using REST APIs to reach out to your SAP, your Salesforce, or your business app that you've self-developed. And vice versa, you can have the Domino REST APIs being used as the input interface, or the inbound interface for other third-party applications connecting back into Domino, which means your application developers, your business partner, your IT provider developing custom integrations for your ERP system does not need to know any Domino specifics. All they need to know is how to call a REST API, and that's how to interface with Domino inbound or outbound. Quite easy, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that, and I do think when you hear people talking, business users in particular, they usually complain about not having access to data and information, and the REST APIs are a great way to cure a part of that problem. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah, so any developer on any language nowadays knows for sure how to call a REST API. So you don't, like I said, you don't have to know anything specific about Domino.
Yep, fantastic. So let's move on now into data security. It's unfortunate in today's world, but we do have a lot of hacks. We have a lot of breaches. We do know that this is one of the most important elements of any platform in the data center. And secure access and collaboration has always been a focal point for Domino. And we've done that with improving our design. We have a robust design. You don't read about Domino and News being hacked, so that's really good. But the reality here is that we've created a lot of tools to allow you to make your platform more secure. So Thomas, what's your favorite your favorite thing on the slide here in terms of what Domino has done to improve security?
I think we don't have enough time to cover all of my favorite data security topics here, but just some few highlights of features we've recently added. Certainly, when it comes to data security, we need to talk about different levels. It's about authentication, it's about data transfer and the encryption of the data that's being transferred, and also encryption or security of data at rest. And on all those levels, we've done a lot. So for instance, in terms of authentication, we've always been providing a very good level of security with the Notes client and the Notes ID file. But when people use the browser, in most cases, you have to authenticate just with username and password combination. So that wasn't quite, it isn't quite an industry standard. So the industry moved on to two-factor authentication. I think you all know what that is, because when you log into your bank account, you probably have to go to your smartphone and enter another 6-digit key. And that is exactly what time-based one-time password, TOTP, is. So you have a second factor that you authenticate with. That's available in Domino. It's been integrated in Domino, and you can protect your applications, your platform in the same way. It's available to you to enable. You decide if you want to use it. Certainly, when it comes to authentication, anything that has been transferred over the wire, any data that's transferred over the wire must be secured, must be encrypted. And this certainly needs SSL, well, TLS protection. You need to have an internet certificate deployed on your servers. And I hope you all have that. In the latest version of Domino, we added a new Internet Certificate Manager, which makes the management of those certificates a lot easier. So in the past, you had to copy files around, and that was quite a hassle for administrators. But now it's a Domino application. You literally click on a button to get a fully valid SSL TLS certificate deployed on your servers, whether they are external internet facing or whether they are just internal to your environment. There is no excuse anymore to run without a proper SSL TLS certificate. So in terms of what customers should do, what customers should take away from this call is to upgrade, not only because of that, but this is certainly one of the top reasons, in my opinion, to stay current. SSL TLS and the mathematics behind is probably worth another call, because also under the covers, we've upgraded the SSL ciphers to be current, to really be tamper-proof and so on. So there's a whole lot more we could talk about, but maybe we would be running out of time.
Well, you know, what intrigues me is the passkeys and some of the things that are coming out. So can you give us some insight into what may be happening there?
Oh, passkeys, yeah, my most favorite subject. I was just demoing this in the previous webcast. How to explain this? Well, now, today, when you log on to an IT system, a website of some sort, you typically have to provide a username and password combination with or without TOTP. Now, passwords are the weakest link because the weakest link typically is in front of the keyboard. We all should remember our passwords. We all should use long passwords. We all should change them on a regular basis. But I'm pretty sure that not all people out there can deal with the variety of accounts that we all have to manage, not only within your enterprise, but also outside on the various websites you're logging in. Now, passkeys is a new term that was just invented pretty much about a year ago, and that is the absolute best I've ever seen since ages. It is a technology that the big players joined forces on. So Apple, Microsoft, Google, they all joined in to build a standard that allows to authenticate, meaning to log in, without providing a password. And that's not just a very convenient way, it's also from the mathematical point of view on what's going on behind the scenes, really, really secure. So no longer is it possible to do shoulder surfing. No longer you can, log the keys of the password you're typing in because you don't have to type in a password anymore. This is really, really damn cool. Sorry to say it that clearly. I really encourage people out there to search the internet on the term passkeys and look at a video or a demo of some sort showing what that is. Because Domino version 14 is going to support passkeys. So with that, we are on the leading edge of what is the best you can get for your users and for your corporate security. I highly, highly recommend you taking a look at this. That is mind-blowing, especially on how easy it is to use for an end user. Dan,
Yeah,
I could go on forever on that topic.
That's fantastic. I know you're a big fan, and we've talked about passkeys before, and I think that as we march forward, users would be happy and delighted to have other alternatives without having to remember passwords. And with the last time I checked, I had, I think, 250 different user IDs and passwords. That I needed.
Well, at least you are using a different password on the various websites. There
Yeah,
are people out there using the very same password on the corporate website and also an external website. And that's a really dangerous pathway because if the external website, the external, platform is getting hacked and someone will get access to the password database of that website, then the evil actors will try those passwords on any website they can find and maybe also try them on your internal IT. So that's never a good idea. So passkeys is going to fix that once and for all.
that would be great. That would be great. Fantastic. So let's end. We've gone a long way here in our journey, but let's start coming to the end of our presentation. Let's talk a little bit about Domino Notes version 9 and version 10. We did an announcement a little over a year ago, and we did another announcement in June, notifying customers that end of support for Domino Notes version 9 and version 10 is June 1st, 2024. We're now within about 9 months of that happening, and it's really important for those of you out there that are on version 9 or version 10 to go ahead and upgrade. And not just because end of support, that's one issue for you because you all want support, but at the same time, the number of security fixes since version 10, 99 security fixes, over 2,000 bug fixes, over 700 new features. That's really important for you, again, to get the return on the investment. It's also important that if you're using servers that you have compliance servers, and you're not going to get that with version 9 and version 10. So that's really important. And again, we've got our white glove service offering to help you with this. We'll help you plan, we'll help you get it done, we'll help you execute. really, really important.
We were talking about 8 reasons to upgrade, and if you see the first bullet point, there are, well, 732 features more to think about upgrading to a more current version. Clearly, as of now, as of today, there are 4 major versions in the market. It's version 9, version 10, 11, and 12. And the version 9 and version 10 are announced to be going end of support. I mean, these are really dated versions by now, because the operating systems which they were released under, the operating systems that did exist when version 9 and version 10 were released, they all were retired. So the OS is gone, but Domino stayed and outlived the OS. Now, we have enhanced the architecture underneath and brought it up to a new level. So it's about time for customers to upgrade to a current version, preferably version 12 or later. Just recently, we did a survey amongst administrators and asked what version of Domino they are running on. And about 75% already said they have upgraded to version 12 or 11. So roundabout, could say that the version 9 and version 10 end of support that we are touching base on here is affecting about 20% of customers out there. So we highly encourage you to take a look at upgrading your servers and stay current, not only for security reasons, but also for the great new features that we've added. And as Dan said, if you would like to get some support, please reach out to HCL. We provide guidance and also provide the white glove support to do the upgrade for you.
Well, I tell you another interesting thing that we were talking about earlier. If you have Domino version 9, that's essentially like using an iPhone 5 today. And I don't think there's anybody in our audience today that's got an iPhone 5. If you do, put it in your chat, and I'd be curious. But that's a really old device, and we want to get you current. So that's really important.
I've asked a similar question at the various user group events we were doing in the last couple of months. Meaning we've done like the Engage user group conference in Europe, we had the German Notes user group conference, we had the Danish partner conference, we had a conference just last week in North America. And I asked, what's the oldest version of Domino you use in production? The highlight, and sorry, I'm not going to mention customer names here, but the highlight was a customer saying they're running like version 5.0, I think 5.07 it was. And I couldn't believe what I heard, because this version is so old that it probably is a security risk to your company. I mean, this is like 15 years old or so. And certainly upgrading that release would require a closer look on what has changed since then. But technically, it's certainly possible to just get it upgraded to the very latest version and staying current.
Yeah, so just in summary here, Thomas, I think we'll move forward, but again, we've talked about total cost of ownership. We've talked about backward and forward compatibility when you're upgrading of your apps. You don't have to worry about that. Your newer version is going to be less administratively burdensome. It's going to make it less complex to own. The Domino is cloud ready. You can use your apps anywhere, on the desktop, on the mobile device, on the web, whatever you need or want. And we integrate seamlessly in your environment. And it's a platform that really does pretty much whatever you need in terms of app dev, unified directory, web server, mail and calendaring. All of that is included in Domino. So incredibly important. But let's shift over and just do a couple of quick notes here in terms of not just what we're saying about Domino, but what are customers saying about Domino. One of the things that we do is we rely on g2.com to really get feedback from customers. And we have recognition from customer reviews in terms of in 13 different categories across app dev. in terms of being fastest implementation, in terms of being in the top right upper quadrant, leadership quadrant, to having very high user adoption in mid-market and smaller markets. So it's not just about being a large customer, but it's being any size customer. And you can also see some of the quotes here that are on the G2 website. I encourage you to go on G2. I encourage you to look at the reviews. If you'd like, you can leave a review. We like to have new reviews. That's great information and great feedback for us. So don't rely just on what Thomas and I are telling you today, but take a look at what G2 and our customers have to say. Another thing that we have on our webpage that you can download is a Forrester Total Economic Impact Study that we did late last year. It was released in November, December of last year. And you know, we do support 40% of the Fortune 500. And the reason they rely on Domino is because Domino has a payback. It has a high ROI of almost 400%. It can create up to 50% app dev efficiency improvement, and it's less expensive to operate than competitive solutions. It's just unbelievable. But that study is about 20 pages long. It's got a lot of information in it. It is important that if you want to get some outside information and get some good customer feedback, that's a great place to do it. Now, let's talk just very briefly about a couple of very key Domino customers that have upgraded recently. One of those is Boga, an air compressor company in Germany. They have 700 employees and they service and supply their product to over 120 countries. They have both Domino and Domino Leap, but they were looking at version 9, release 9, and trying to figure out what to do to modernize their environment. And they also wanted to keep their 500 Domino apps. They wanted to be able to use those and migrate that. And so when they looked at everything and started to see what was really important to them, they decided to upgrade from release 9 to release 12. They also decided to deploy Domino Leap to provide business user app dev capability. And that was really important in terms of digitizing processes, automating processes, and doing improvements. And so they really used Domino upgrade as part of their transformation strategy for the future. Likewise, we have one of the very largest electronic manufacturers in the world that has over 90,000 employees. They also went through a similar evaluation process to determine how to use Domino going forward. And the truth is that they spent a year looking at and evaluating what it would cost if you were to take Domino out or replace Domino versus keeping Domino. Their IT group came back and said, look, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, it's going to take us 5 new applications to replace Domino. And given the cost, time, and complexity, it's going to cost 10 times what it would be to continue to use Domino, and particularly with all of the enhancements that we had for them. Another customer that went from version 9 to version 10. Likewise, we had 2 financial companies, both top 11 banking financial institutions in the entire world that were both on Domino version 9 that decided to upgrade. And their process was pretty much the same, as they went through a lot of analysis and trying to understand what would be best. And they just decided that in order to take advantage of Domino, they would deploy Nomad Web as an alternative to Notes and reduce and upgrade cost. And they really wanted to have low-code application development. So Domino Leap was also included in that. And we have one other large bank. Again, these are very, very large customers. Same thing, upgraded from Domino 9 to Domino 10. And they have 283 users globally. So this was a big rollout. And when they started looking at all of the admin changes we've made in reducing complexity and automating, they decided to stick with Domino. And they felt like they could they could actually enable new applications, enable business users to get involved by doing all of that, and really important. And that's exactly what they did. So I just want you to know there's a couple people have done that. And just one more passing note before we close is that Lufthansa, a large global carrier that's headquartered in Germany, and chose HCL Leap. So they really wanted to spend time looking at how they could get their business users involved in creating automation for their workflows. And they actually bought Leap, and they didn't really do a lot of promoting of that. And within less than a year, they already had 2,000 apps built, mainly through word of mouth by business users turning on other business users. And incredible results from Lufthansa in terms of what this brought to the table for them. And even though they're not a Domino customer, they did use this product to do the same thing that our Domino Leap product does. An incredible performance, and I think that speaks well of what we can do.
Yep, these, especially this one here is interesting because business users have a certain need to resolve their business needs. And if IT would not provide them with Leap, these 2,000 apps probably would have been spreadsheets on an unmanaged server somewhere with no way of managing them, managing a workflow with no way to access control the data correctly. So with Leap, not only you'll get the workflow piece of it, but also it's located on the server. You can probably secure the data and back it up according to your corporate policies. Also, the other examples you brought, I think it's one of them had a really large number of applications in the field, Domino applications, and it's a typical situation out there that customers were building specific applications specific to their industry, really adopted to their business. So applications you cannot find elsewhere. So take the chance and modernize these apps with the features the platform is providing you, because that's providing you with the biggest bang for the buck. Then I see you already switched to a small survey, which I think had like 2 or 3 questions. You might want to say what this is.
I'm gonna put these out there so that we get just a little bit of information from our users on what version of Domino they're on and whether they've deployed the web. I think I went through that one just a little too fast. So, but let me do a.
Yeah, I think that went on too fast.
Yeah, that one went a little too fast. Let me just go ahead and give folks an opportunity to tell us what version of Domino they're using. I think that's really important for us to know. We're always interested in what you're doing in terms of using our product and what version you're on. That kind of helps us understand who attended today and really does a good job. So let's finish up our presentation day and talk about what your next step should be. So we got a couple of things here for additional resources. The top one is really, we have a dedicated Domino upgrade webpage, which has tons of resources and links for you to get more information. The next one down is if you want more information on Domino containerization and the how-to there, we can share that information with you. And lastly, if you want to contact HCL Software for assistance or discuss your own upgrade, you can click on that link and we'll get back to you and be able to help you with that. And that's what we have for today. So I want to thank you for joining. There is a handout that I provided. You should be able to download, which shows you our slides, including this last slide here with the QR codes, and feel free to download that before you leave. And we're so happy that you joined us today. Any closing remarks from your side, Thomas?
Well, I have to thank you for setting up that webinar and hosting it in such a professional manner. Really, thanks for all the prep work you've done. I hope the audience did appreciate this brief information on the reasons to upgrade. As you've seen in one of the slides, there are more than 700 very good reasons to upgrade, not only the 8 reasons we talked about. If there is any questions, of course, reach out to us. Dan and me, as well as the entire product management team, are available for you. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over back to you to officially close the webinar.
Okay, well, we again appreciate your attendance today. We're so grateful to have you as customers and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you and bye. Let's meet on same time.
Okay.